In the heart of a dense forest, where sunlight barely pierces the thick canopy, a haunting sight emerges. A deer, once a symbol of grace and beauty, now marred by a grotesque affliction. Its side is a canvas of horror, a barnacle wound that tells a chilling tale of nature's darker side. These barnacles, typically found clinging to rocks and ships, have found an unlikely host in this unfortunate creature. As we delve deeper into this unsettling phenomenon, we uncover the grim reality of barnacle infestation, a process that transforms the majestic into the macabre. Barnacles, those small hard-shelled crustaceans, are notorious for their tenacity. They latch onto surfaces with an iron grip, using a powerful adhesive that can withstand the fiercest of tides. In this case, the deer has become an unwilling host, its skin a breeding ground for these relentless invaders. The barnacles burrow into the flesh, creating open wounds that ooze with infection, a grotesque reminder of nature's indifference. Each barnacle, a tiny parasite, siphons nutrients from the deer, weakening it further, while the surrounding tissue becomes inflamed and necrotic. The sight is enough to turn the stomach, a visceral reminder of the harsh realities of survival in the wild. As we observe this tragic scene, we must confront the uncomfortable truth. Nature is not always the benevolent force we wish it to be. The deer, once a proud creature, now embodies the struggle for existence, caught in a web of ecological imbalance. The barnacle infestation serves as a metaphor for the invasive species that humans often introduce into ecosystems, wreaking havoc on native populations. Just as the barnacles cling to the deer, humans cling to their comforts, often at the expense of the natural world. In the end, we are left with a dark reflection of our own actions. The deer, a victim of circumstance, reminds us that our relationship with nature is fraught with peril. Perhaps, in a twisted sense of humor, we can find solace in the fact that even the most elegant of creatures can become a host for the grotesque. After all, in the grand tapestry of life, we are all just a few barnacles away from a similar fate. In the vast, untamed landscapes of North America, a creature roams that embodies the spirit of the wild, the bison. Towering and majestic, these beasts are often seen grazing peacefully on grassy plains, but lurking beneath their rugged exterior lies a darker reality. Imagine, if you will, a bison so beleaguered that its flesh is marred by a grotesque infestation, a wound so horrific that it challenges the very limits of nature's cruelty. This bison, once a symbol of strength, now bears the heavy burden of an invasion, an army of barnacles clinging to its body like unwelcome guests at a banquet, slowly consuming the very essence of its being. Barnacles, those seemingly innocuous marine creatures, are often dismissed as mere nuisances, but in this context, they transform into agents of suffering. These crustaceans, with their hard, calcareous shells, typically latch onto the hulls of ships or the rocks of coastal shores. However, in a bizarre twist of fate, they have found a new host in the unsuspecting bison. This peculiar infestation is not merely a case of bad luck. It is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of life, where the boundaries of land and sea blur in a grotesque dance of survival. As we delve deeper into the plight of this bison, we begin to comprehend the horror of barnacle infestation. Each barnacle, a tiny fortress of calcium carbonate, burrows into the bison's skin, creating a painful wound that festers and oozes. The bison's body, once a robust shield against the elements, now becomes a breeding ground for these relentless invaders. The barnacles multiply, their populations swelling as they siphon nutrients from the bison's flesh, leaving behind a trail of decay and infection. This gruesome spectacle unfolds as the bison struggles to shake off its tormentors, each movement a reminder of its suffering, each step a testament to its resilience. The barnacles, in their relentless quest for survival, are not merely passive parasites. They are active participants in a dark narrative of life and death. As they establish their colonies, they create an ecosystem of decay. Flies and other scavengers are drawn to the wound, attracted by the scent of rotting flesh. This gruesome banquet invites a host of opportunistic feeders, each vying for a piece of the bison's suffering. The once proud creature becomes a macabre tableau of nature's harsh realities, where life feeds on life in a cycle of brutality. But what does this tell us about the world we inhabit? As we observe the bison's plight, we are forced to confront the uncomfortable truths of our existence. Nature, in its rawest form, is not the idyllic paradise we often romanticize. It is a ruthless arena where survival is dictated by the whims of fate. The bison, in its struggle against the barnacles, serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life. In a world where humans encroach upon natural habitats, the consequences can be dire. The bison's infestation may very well be a reflection of our own actions, a reminder that the balance of nature can be easily disrupted. As we ponder the fate of this unfortunate bison, we must also reflect on our role in this intricate web of life. Are we too not barnacles in our own right, clinging to the resources of this planet, often leaving destruction in our wake? The barnacle's relentless pursuit of survival mirrors our own, yet it also serves as a cautionary tale. In the vast, untamed wilderness, where the sun casts long shadows over the rolling plains, a creature of immense strength and majesty roams the bison. But today, this symbol of resilience bears a haunting secret, a grotesque wound that tells a story of survival and suffering. As we draw closer, the sight is shocking. Barnacles, those seemingly innocuous marine creatures, have taken hold of this mighty beast, transforming its once proud hide into a grotesque canvas of infestation. Each barnacle, a small, hard-shelled organism, has latched onto the bison's skin, creating a nightmarish landscape of white and gray protrusions that seem to mock the very essence of life. How did this happen? How did a land-dwelling giant become a host for these oceanic invaders? Barnacles are typically found clinging to rocks and ships, thriving in salty waters. But in a bizarre twist of nature, they have found a way to attach themselves to this terrestrial titan. The bison, perhaps weakened by illness or injury, has become an unwitting host, providing a perfect environment for these parasites to flourish. As they burrow into the bison's flesh, they create painful wounds, leading to infections that can be fatal. The barnacles feed on the bison's nutrients, draining its vitality while leaving behind a trail of suffering. This grotesque symbiosis raises unsettling questions about the balance of nature and the fragility of life. As we delve deeper into this dark tale, we must confront the uncomfortable truth: the bison's plight is a reflection of our own impact on the natural world. Human activities have disrupted ecosystems, leading to the spread of invasive species and the weakening of native populations. The barnacle infestation serves as a grim reminder of how interconnected life is and how our actions can have far-reaching consequences. In a world where we often see ourselves as separate from nature, this bison's struggle illustrates the harsh reality that we are all part of the same web of life, vulnerable to the same forces that govern existence. And as we ponder this dark twist of fate, one can't help but chuckle at the irony here. We are humans, with our penchant for cleanliness and order, yet we share this planet with creatures that can turn a majestic bison into a walking barnacle buffet. Perhaps the next time we complain about a pesky insect or a stubborn weed, we should remember the bison and its barnacle buddies, reminding us that nature has a sense of humor, albeit a rather dark one. In a quiet, sun-drenched pasture, a majestic white horse stands, its coat gleaming like freshly fallen snow. But upon closer inspection, a horrific sight emerges, a barnacle wound, grotesque and alarming, festering upon its side. This is not merely a blemish. It is a testament to nature's darker side, a chilling reminder of the relentless struggle for survival in the animal kingdom. The barnacle, typically associated with the rugged shells of coastal rocks, has found an unlikely host in this graceful creature, transforming beauty into a scene of grotesque horror. The barnacle infestation is a parasitic relationship where these tiny crustaceans latch onto the horse's skin, embedding themselves and feeding off its nutrients. As they grow, they create painful lesions, causing distress and suffering to the horse, a silent victim of nature's cruel whims. These barnacles, usually found clinging to ships and piers, are opportunistic feeders, thriving in environments where they can anchor themselves securely. In the case of our unfortunate equine friend, The barnacles have taken advantage of a compromised immune system, perhaps due to stress, illness, or injury. Their presence is not just a physical burden, it can lead to severe infections and even systemic issues as the horse's body struggles to fend off these unwelcome guests. The sight is both fascinating and repulsive as the barnacles multiply, creating a grotesque landscape of growth that can only be described as a living nightmare. Yet, as we delve deeper into this dark tableau, a moral emerges, a reflection on the interconnectedness of all living beings. Humans, too, can be seen as barnacles, clinging to the resources of the earth, often without regard for the damage we may inflict on our fellow creatures. Just as the barnacles exploit their host, we can exploit nature, leading to dire consequences for both wildlife and our own future. In the end, as we observe this tragic yet captivating spectacle, we are reminded that the line between beauty and horror is often blurred, and that our actions have repercussions that ripple through the fabric of life. Perhaps in this dark dance of survival, we might find a reason to reconsider our place in the world before we become the barnacles ourselves, clinging too tightly to a life that may not be ours to take.